There she is. There's April from North Carolina. So this is what I was thinking. I was thinking when a virtual student becomes a reality, that's what it is. It's a real person.
It's a real person.
You look great.
I know.
So tell me if you like my Baldwin piano.
I love both these pianos. Possibly, and sometimes I think it's more as simple as like if I were sitting beside you, you would see that I was trying to ask you a question at that point.
Okay.
Right? And you know, it's just the nature of the beast. When you're talking, vice versa. If I'm talking, you can't talk. You know, the flow of a conversation.
Oh, okay.
If you're sitting there with somebody like this, it's back and forth. It's not that you're interrupting.
I see.
But it's like I can see, wait a minute, I can see Laura's wants to ask me a question or needs a clarification at that point. Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right. And I saw her do it a couple times today.
Black, 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 black. Okay, now all you have to do is lighten everything up. Black, 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 black. Make it so light, tissue paper light. Black, 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 black. Black, 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 black. Just come down. Black, 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 black. Sounds like we're roosters or chickens. Black, 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 black. Good, that would have been perfect, but make them really light. Black, 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 black. That was pretty good, yeah. Yeah. It stops you from, you know, the blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
I would say that's a difference. You know, having the two pianos side by side is wonderful. You know, that addition of, you know, yes, we can watch you on the camera, but that's really nice. I think that's really nice.
The physical part becomes more translated into improvement for the student because they actually are next to the teacher. Or with the video or the camera on top looking down at the teacher.
Yeah, because I mean, in a way, I have a better view of the keyboard, you could say, if you're, especially from up top. And that part is great, but there is something about just being side, or when you say, okay, let's do it together.
Right, and you can't do that on Skype.
Right, let's play the scales together.
I've got this on video, it looks great. Now you look good. Right, because I mean it's like not like you're going across the street, you know, into the next block, you know. I suggest you lead with your left hand. Bounce, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 1. Bounce, 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 bounce. Control that time, because usually it's the left hand that folds by the wayside, right?
Yes.
Because you're right-handed.
Yes. It'll get behind the other one.
Yes.
Like sometimes when I'm trying to get any speed, this one is way
So you have to make it the leader more often than not to get it sort of to bring it up to snuff with the other hand, right? Okay, we're gonna do it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left hand is the leader. Keep going now. Keep going right straight down. Do it straight. 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now don't do it 100 times.
Okay.
Now fill it in. Okay, that should, see, that you should just do like sparing practice, but make it like that.
I don't know. I mean, you know, if I had my druthers, if I was right here, of course I'd be in person. You know, but I find it amazing that the Skype is as good as it is. I mean, that the online lessons they're just amazing, and you've gotten it so down. You've gotten your angles, your camera angles down, and you've gotten it so down that you're so effective.
Well, it's been now 2010 I started, so 6 years now.
Yeah.
What's happening there is the thumb is hanging out a little bit, and it's not on its little surreptitious, suave journey under the 2, 3, 4 and the 2, 3 fingers, right? The thumb is hanging out a little bit. You do some rhythms going down like this. It's got thumb under ahead. See, when I do this, it allows the thumb to get under. See, it's under already. The whole idea of doing that is to imagine that it's a rolling, floating rhythm, you know. And then the thumb gets under quickly. Under. It's under. It's under. Real quick. That's the whole idea, is to get the thumb under. The rolling wrist too. You need that rolling wrist. That's supposed to accomplish 2 things. One is to get the thumb moving along smoothly without a hitch, but it's also to keep your arms very relaxed so that you don't tighten up. Also to keep your wrists very relaxed so you don't tighten up. That means when you do everything, whether it's staccato or legato, your whole arm is flowing into your hands. Because that's the whole thing. When I do this, it's my arm that's behind this. It's so, you know, floating, suspended. But the thumb gets under there from all the exercises of training it to go under and not forcing it and not pulling my hand down and getting accents, you know. So I think that what we started our lesson with, where I said that you should think toward your longer fingers as your center of gravity, applies to everything you've been playing. Same with this one. Because I keep hearing little bumps in my, you know, as I hear the little trail of notes, I hear slight bumps. When you get to the last octave, I want to clear that last octave.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, look what happens. 2, 3, but coming down it's 4, 3. Right? Because you're doing melodic, it's going to be 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, and then straight down with 4 again. But let's do it slowly, just one way, like this. And then that, just one time, so you see what happens that way. Good. Let's make them float across, like floaty. So you have to have the floating sound, and you have to have a floating framing rhythm. You have to have the rhythm holding it together, but you have, in between the beats, you have to have a floating arm. Otherwise, the 2 ingredients have to be together. So now when you do your staccato, you're thinking floaty, yodi. It doesn't change. It's still floating. Everything is floating. Right? Breathe. Breathe through it. Train yourself to breathe through your playing. Start here, though, at the bottom of the octave. Yeah. Pretty good. Remember, your center of gravity is these fingers, not your thumb. The thumb needs to yield to these fingers. Everything was better. Yeah, playing. It's interesting that you mentioned playing together with the teacher. Well, the teacher can give that framing rhythm. I think that's a big thing with the students, is they need to have the boundaries of the rhythm by playing with the teacher, or the teacher going.
Yeah.
Well, it's the carrying along. You know, you kind of. I find when we're playing together,
I don't know, there's a little bit more freedom, I think, in my playing. I like get sucked into your sound. Like this vacuum cleaner, like, okay, you know, the density, the projection. I'm hearing what you're doing, and so then I'm imitating.
It's like osmosis almost,
Yeah.
you know? It's like you sit right there and you hear it and you see it, you start to pick it up probably easy.
You feed. Well, it becomes, the teacher becomes a conductor of an ensemble. You become part of the ensemble with the teacher, you know that?
I like that you play with us. Not only with us simultaneously, but you hear, you do this, you know, and then I can model it. There are teachers who don't
play. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the hardest things I think about being a beginner, at least for me, is you know, you have to hear what you're trying to do, and sometimes you can't. I'm not saying it very well, but
the teacher has to help you learn to imagine what you want to imagine.
Yeah.
In a way, it prompts
you. It's
you.
like people say, well, you have to think about what you want to hear. It's like, well, I'm not sure what I want to hear.
I hear that from most of my friends.
You go to a professional recording, and the way they're playing it is so much faster and more than you can do. And what you need to do is hear someone play that piece but at a slower tempo, something that you can match up. Because I can listen to Marie Pariah play something I'm trying to learn and it sounds like, holy smokes, that's totally different. You get the overall gestalt, but in terms of my practicing that piece at the tempo that I can play, it doesn't
translate.
Because he's done all the work, the preliminary work that you're doing right now, and it's so many layers later.
Right.
And he's
but
way.
You can like, if you're the teacher and you're here, you can peel back those layers. You know, you can go back to the core that you need to get to. That's what I like.
And that's what's good about learning from layer up, that you become a better learner when you have parceled out all the processes and not just read it down right away. Read it down. It just won't work.
I know another thing too is like you get to play on these pianos. That's a big difference.
That's
When you
fun.
play on an upright, you know, it's like, wow, you get to come play. These are just beautiful instruments.